I'm going to show you some images from a portrait series called Homesteading, The Journey Back to Mother. I'm showing you this slide because it's the only sign that led me to this homestead. It's called Paharillo Pahad, which it means rocky hill in Nepali. Jenny and Anders run the homestead, and I met them about 7 winters ago. They're college educated, they are well-traveled, really concerned about the choices people are making, and so they decided to experiment by homesteading and do what they call sane, simple, responsible life. And so this is Jenny digging up some ginger there. I visited them each season over about a 1-year period, and the first visit was in the late spring. So they were mostly inside. It was a rainy day, and they were preparing for the growing season. Anders is carving a spoon here. They did the sugaring, but it was too cold to plant the garden, so we were kind of in between. You know how that is. They sugar, they do woodcraft, basketry, they pick apples, and they trade wood. They have honey, beehives for honey and beeswax candles, and they hay, and they trade that. So they do most of their stuff for bartering. Try to stay out of the money system altogether. And Anders manages the forest, their wooded area in the winter. He made that saw by hand, and also the splitting mauls that he used. And we were in about waist-deep snow. I took my snowshoes out, it totally didn't matter. In the winter, they live in several layers of clothing to avoid heating the house, which you'll see soon. So this was a common scene. Jenny and Anders took leisurely meals together several times a day. This was really important to them because almost everything they did revolved around procuring food, feeding themselves and supporting themselves. Jenny's sewing machine was in the loft of the house. She sewed purses and other items from fabric she found in the landfill, and people donated to her. And then they also sewed screens for their orchard to keep them away from, or keep the pests out. So that's what I found her doing this first visit. Meals were really simple. They consisted mostly of raw fruits and vegetables, bread, and a little peanut butter or yogurt served in a single bowl. They barely used utensils. It was just very simple. When I visited in the late summer, I could see what their clothes hid. They were really, really thin. And here they're sowing seeds, and you'll see in the next picture how thin they are. This was their busy time of year because they were trying to harvest and sow for extra vegetables coming up that come up cold in the late summer. So they have to have enough food to eat, or else they have to store everything. So this is a picture of them, again, sowing seeds. Nature was their boss. No other boss. That's it. No weather forecasts. Just get up and do what needs to be done, which is hard. In this picture, they're building a rock ledge so they can have more space to garden, and they did everything by hand. They used big crowbars. I took pictures. Notice they're not wearing gloves either. I took pictures of their hands a lot because their hands were just permanently stained brown from just being in the earth so much. Everything you see in the house, this is sort of the heart of the homestead, was either traded, harvested, or gotten from a landfill. Even the nails were harvested from old wood and re-straightened, the windows and the roof. Everything was made by hand after they cleared the land. It's one room, about 15 by 20 feet with a loft, and there's a wood cook stove and 2 chairs, a small table, and a bookshelf. It's extremely simple and efficient. What wasn't there? No plumbing, no mirrors, no beds, no radio, television, telephone, computer, or car. When I was there, my camera was the only electronic thing on the place, in the whole place. And I noticed that. So you saw Jenny harvesting mint. She was definitely the more social one. She liked to visit the local schools and share her skills with the kids. She did a school community garden. And this is an image of their berries drying on the back steps. That was always going on, always trying to dry food so they could have it for the winter. Anders was definitely less social. You can see him in his portrait. He definitely liked the alone, the solitude. He had a more critical and a less hopeful view of the world, so it was his way of sort of being in the world but not really participating in it. And these last few images are of a really important ritual that they do, which is, you saw the wheat, and now Jenny is separating the chaff and the wheat. This is obviously late summer. She's winnowing here by hand, and then she'll take those wheat berries and store them and then grind them up for flour. They really liked quiet activities and being about their work. And you'll see a picture of her with kneading the dough. I took these over 7 years ago, and with everything that's happened in the last 7 years to our planet, I can't help but notice how relevant they still are. And I keep asking myself if this is true progress, going back to the earth, the journey back to Mother. And is it true freedom? So I guess that's a question we all have to answer for ourselves. They've answered it in their own way. The other question I ask is if this shift is in some way inevitable for all of us. This return to simplicity. All the images were made with a film camera, and they're all full frame images. None of them have been photoshopped or cropped. So, thank you.